Hey, lumber prices have never been so high. So I asked the question, how has the high cost of lumber affected you and your woodworking? And I've got some answers, so stick around. So after last week's video, when I was talking about the high cost of lumber and some of the reasons why we're in the situation that we're in, I posted a question on my YouTube channel and asked you, the viewers, how you've had to adjust and what changes you've made because of the high cost of lumber. I got several responses and I want to share some of those with you right now. But before I do, I also want to let you know that at the end of this video, I do have a tip for brand new woodworkers and those DIYers, those guys that are just building projects at home for themselves, they're not in it as a business. There's some tips for you at the end of this video, so stick around. So in no particular order, here are some of the things that you viewers have been telling me about what you've changed. Some of you have simply said that you're putting your DIY projects on hold. These are the guys that are just making renovations at home or building a piece of furniture for themselves. And they've decided to hold off on those projects because they're just no longer affordable. I've heard things like, we were going to renovate our house so that we could give it to our son. Now we decided to sell the house because we just can't afford to renovate it. I've heard from a user that said, well, I was planning on building a new deck on the back of the house and I've had to put all that on hold because there's just no way I can do it now. And then of course, right here in the woodworking garage, I've got projects on hold for the very same reason. There's project builds that I have planned for here in my home, and I've decided I'm going to have to hold off for just a little bit on some of those. For those of you who are doing this as a business, I'm hearing things like, well, we just pass the costs on to our customers and we have to charge a lot more, and they're seeing sticker shock when we quote them a price for something that was much less 6 months to a year ago. And hey, let's face it, when you're doing woodworking as a business or as a side gig, you have no choice but to continue to pass those costs on down to the end user, your customers. Now, some of you have lost customers and some of you have said that it's just not affecting you too much at all and that business as usual. Others have told me they've completely changed the type of projects that they've done, which has again affected me directly here in the woodworking garage. Recently, I stopped building dining room sets, which is something I've been doing for quite a while, because of the high cost of lumber. So what I've opted to do instead is to focus a little more on content videos for my YouTube channel and bringing you information like this. As I continue working on projects, they're going to be much smaller projects, which takes less wood. I had one viewer talk about his scrap pile and how he's working on projects that are only coming out of his scrap pile. So wood scraps have suddenly become gold, where at once we would clean out our scrap pile and throw a bunch of scrap away because it's just something that rarely got used. Now people are relying on that in order to build smaller projects, in order to have things to sell to keep some type of revenue coming in. I know I recently reorganized my scrap pile just to kind of inventory exactly what I had and what I can use. And I asked a question on my YouTube channel, specifically, what type of projects you like to make out of your scrap? Because I'm looking for some of those same ideas. I've got scrap to use and I'm looking for good projects to be able to make out of those scrap materials. So if you have any ideas, go ahead and drop them down in the list below and maybe we'll include those on another video. Now, some viewers have talked about they're looking for alternative wood sources, and we all know pallet wood is readily available. Some people used to frown on pallet wood because it's the very idea that this is used for shipping goods and products, and then we're going to take this pallet and make something beautiful out of it, and yet the reality is it's some great wood to use. I've seen some beautiful projects that were made from pallets. You can get very creative with the material and there's a lot of things you can do with it. You can find pallets for free in your community or at a very low cost. Here in my area, I can find pretty much as many pallets as I want for free. There's plenty of people that are selling them too, but usually it's only $1 or $2 for the entire pallet. Still, others have commented to me that they're going out on trash days and looking for old furniture that people are throwing away just so they can salvage the wood from that. And hey, that's a great idea. In fact, I've refurbished a few items that I have found sitting on the side of the road, and it turned out to be great projects. So I know there's plenty of solid wood material being thrown out every day. So if you can get your hands on an old TV stand or dresser or desk, there's some good material there that you can salvage. Now, before you jump out and go scavenging for a bunch of used furniture, keep in mind if you plan on breaking that material down, it really helps to have things like a jointer and a planer to clean it up. Otherwise, it's a whole lot of sanding. And then, of course, there's reclaimed wood. Not wood that you go out and buy as reclaimed wood, because those prices are outrageous as well. But I'm talking about going out and reclaiming the wood yourself. Going out into your communities and finding old structures and contacting the owner and finding out if you can harvest some of the wood from it. It takes a lot of time and effort, but oftentimes the wood is free or very low cost, and you can really benefit from that. And lastly, one of the comments I received was actually from a newer woodworker, 4321 Woodworking, in which he said, you know, hardwood material is starting to look more affordable these days. And he's right. Now, hardwood is still more expensive, but when you compare it to the price of softwood lumber that a lot of us use to make farmhouse style furniture and shelving and other things, the hardwood lumber isn't looking so bad. And he's not the only one that commented that they're starting to use hardwood lumbers more because those costs just haven't gone up. Now, I don't use a lot of hardwood in the woodworking garage, but it provoked a question, so I reached out to my local hardwood dealer and was inquiring about prices, and what I found is that prices of hardwood, at least in my area, haven't really gone up at all, which is something I find very interesting. So the high cost of lumber is affecting everybody in the woodworking industry, and it's causing us to make adjustments to how we woodwork. I'd like to hear more from some of our viewers of how you've had to make adjustments to your woodworking, and if you would, I'd appreciate it if you just go ahead and drop a comment below, and so I can collect those maybe for another video. Now, here's a tip for new woodworkers. First, we ask the question, should you even start woodworking at all? My answer to you is yes, definitely start woodworking now. 40% of the viewers on this channel are actually new woodworkers or people that are just getting started. So if you've been thinking about woodworking, absolutely, jump in. Tool prices haven't gone up, and so if you can afford to go out and buy the tools, whether new or used, start collecting your tools. And then use some of the suggestions we talked about in this video and go out and find some old furniture being thrown out, or go get yourself some pallets to get started. You can get started in woodworking without having to buy wood. Then this is an opportunity for you to learn, to build your skill set, to kind of figure things out, learn how to use your tools. Then maybe if you have a small project you want to complete that requires you to go buy some wood, you can confidently go buy some wood knowing that you have the skill sets to be successful and you're not going to be throwing out a bunch of wood. Now, one of the comments I received from one of our viewers last week, he was a brand new woodworker, and he said, man, I had no idea I was overpaying for wood. He said, I didn't think much about it. I went and bought my tools, and I went out and started buying wood and building things, and had no idea that wood was so much more expensive now than what it was 6 months or even a year ago. But don't let that stop you from getting started in woodworking. Now, here's a tip for the DIYer who's not into woodworking to make money, but just looking to do some things around the house. Maybe you want to build a coffee table or build some shelving, but the high cost of lumber is making you hold back and think twice. Well, here's something you can do. You can still build that coffee table and those shelves or whatever small projects that you're working on, but when you do that, build two. One for yourself and one to sell. And it helps pay for the wood for the projects you need around your home. Hey, when I first started in woodworking, that's what I did. After I built up some skills and built up some confidence, I went out and bought some material and made two of everything that I wanted for myself so that I had something to turn around and sell to someone else, so that it offset my material costs that allowed me to go out and buy more material to work on more projects. So if you're holding off on building something nice for yourself, take a look at whether or not it's something that you can make two and have one to sell. Now, obviously, this doesn't work if you're doing an addition to your shed, or if you're building a new deck out back, or just renovating your bathroom. It's not going to work for you. But there are things you can build to sell that help offset those costs. Hey, I hope you found this video informative just by hearing from some of our viewers and how the high cost of wood is affecting them and their woodworking. And hopefully you heard something here today that could help you a little bit. If you like this video at all, please give me a thumbs up. Show me some love, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. I've got a lot of great content on my page and a lot of new content coming out. And if you are looking for some fresh content, I'm going to throw up a couple more videos right here that I think you'll be interested in. And if you click on those, I'm going to go ahead and see you over on the other side. Hey, thanks for watching.